Welcome to the Mentors Podcast. I'm your host, Emre Yilmaz, and today I'm speaking with Vlad Koulikov. Vlad is a martial artist, coach, and mentor whose expertise spans across the realms of Sambo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Through the years, he has coached numerous champions, leaving a lasting influence on his students. But today's conversation isn't just about martial arts. It's about the life lessons that Vlad imparts through his teachings. In this episode, we cover a wide range of topics. The initial part of our conversation delves into Vlad's past and the development of his martial arts system. Around the 10-minute mark, we transition into a fascinating exploration of Vlad's broader passions and insights. Vlad shares powerful concepts like unity over division and revolution starts in the mirror. These are ideas that extend far beyond the world of martial arts and offer valuable takeaways for anyone seeking personal growth and transformation. We also touch on Vlad's dietary routines, but it's important to note that neither this podcast nor Vlad himself claims expertise in this field. His dietary practices are personal, and we encourage you to conduct your own research and make informed decisions that align with your goals and needs. We also speak about the war in Ukraine, identity politics, the importance of civil discourse, and the need for kindness and understanding in a divided world. Now I bring you Vlad Koulikov. You were born in Russia and came to the United States when you were at a later age. How old were you?
I was born actually in a country called Soviet Union. I was also Russian Federation within it. I was 21.
I heard in your interviews that your dad was a big influence on you. If you can tell us about your story.
I'm a little bit older, 48, so I grew up in the 70s and 80s. And what I'm about to say has zero judgment or whatever. It's just factual. Nobody guessed their gender back then. There was no pronouns. And society, especially in Soviet Union, was very black and white in terms of generations and separation of gender. At the very young age, I learned what it is like to be a man and what is expected from me. And I idolized strong men. Duh. My dad was into boxing, wrestling, and strongman. And naturally, being his offspring, I was so inspired. And in such, oh my God, my dad was like my hero. And that was the original impetus. That's how I viewed. That's how man's supposed to be, like my dad. That's a man, right? And my mom is like what women's supposed to be. And my cousin basically brought me to Sambo gym, that academy. Not even a gym, it was academy that happens to be around the block. And put my foot on the mat, fell in love, and never looked back.
And how did you journey to the United States? What happened?
Yes. I did not actually look into immigration from the get-go. I was a young man, 21 at the time, and I signed up to be a summer camp counselor and met a girl. And then I had to go back to Russia. Visa expired. Summer was over. I went back home, and she convinced me to come back for her. Cherchez la femme, like they say in French, look for a woman, right? In every situation in life, you look for a girl. So that's what I came back originally for a girl, and she screwed me over so bad. And it's fine now. I was devastated and brokenhearted back then, but it's like a rite of passage, man. Don't be upset about working hard because somebody breaks yours, and in return, somehow, not even as revenge, you'll break somebody else's or couple. It's a rite of passage. Okay, so anyway, I came here because of her. Things did not work out. Besides the point, and at one point, I started to look for training. I was an active young man and was a habitual athlete, and I was looking for a place to train. And I could not find any grappling in the area. It was like UFC just started to peak or whatever, started to get popular. So grappling was like a thing, and I could not find anything in the area. I was too embarrassed to go to high school to wrestle with kids or whatever, And eventually I found a club. There's some guy, American guy, but who lived in Brazil, and was brewed in the culture, MMA, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, all that stuff. And he introduced me because at the time, I only knew Sambo and Judo and other Olympic sports popular, So Jiu-Jitsu was something very similar, very exotic and enticing, and very effective, of course, And when I saw it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's kind of like Sambo, blew my mind. And then I started going to his grappling club. His name was Gino. And he knew a lot. He was like encyclopedia, but he was not an athlete like me. And I don't mean to disrespect him or belittle, but I, was Soviet athlete growing up competing. I was a bit better live, even with a lack of techniques, but the techniques I knew were much better than the amount of what he knew. So long story short, I figured out, why can't I teach that, right? I did not call my style Sambo fusion then, but that's exactly what I started to do intuitively. Because my background was Sambo, right? That's what I grew up with. But then Jiu-Jitsu is something else that I like. And I started like blend them together because they both fall under umbrella of grappling, but because of different rule sets, almost two different sports. But once you define something into rule set, like crystallize from the major into like some kind of subdivision, you castrate it immediately, right? To a degree. For example, in Jiu-Jitsu, stand-up wrestling is nearly non-existent. They still score it, but you can be a Jiu-Jitsu champion without wrestling. Or in Sambo, for some weird reason, there is no strangulations, right? There is like pinning, there's throwing down, there's arm locks, there's leg locks, but no strangulation. It is such an important layer of technique of martial arts. Like, why would you neglect it, right? So both arts have this major flaws or pitfalls, whatever you want to call them, right? But if you combine them together, they become one, cooler, more well-rounded grappling art. So that's the thing. And it's generally, Emre, my motto in life, unity over division. People are so tribal. And again, I understand why. But we're so tribal, we always fall into pitfall of separating, Muslims, Christians, blacks, white, Sambo versus Jiu-Jitsu. And I'm like, why? Like, if we believe in God, let's have that unite us. Muslim and Christian, monotheistic, boom, we believe in the same God, boom, boom, unity over division. Or Sambo versus Jiu-Jitsu, yes, different arts, different, but we all do grappling, boom, boom, unity over division, And that's two different rule sets. Why see them as opposed to seeing them as mutually beneficial? This kind of thing, I think, I know it's a bit of a hippy-dippy, mentality, but that's what I truly came to believe in life after being almost 50 years on the earth. So that's what I believe in. Unity over division, and revolution starts in the mirror. That's another thing. People are so eager to impart their knowledge, and people listen to them and change them. But like the only reasonable contribution for a better world is a better you. Changing other people by force is either tyrannic or naive at best, and neither one will work. But you can always change yourself. So if everybody changes themselves, then I know another big hippie thing. But if you change yourself, that's the only reasonable contribution. Maybe your behavior will influence them, but it's you who's changed, and it's your behavior that influences it. It's not you forcing them. It's a good example. So.
You just said, get your house in order first. Jordan Peterson talks about that, and I love it.
Absolutely. It's the same thing, brother, right? Revolution starts in the mirror is actually a phrase from a song I heard. And it just like, I'm like, what the hell, man? Yeah, that's where it starts. Mm-hmm. You look at yourself, and then motherfucker right there changes, and then everything else, your microcosm shit. So it was a song, a lyrics from a song, but I made it my motto, my credo, or whatever you want to call it.
I love it. Can you tell us about how your system that you're teaching, Sambo Fusion, came to life?
For the longest time, I did not have any formal training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And not that I did not understand techniques, I did. I just never had like a mentor, trainer, somebody who promotes me, right? So up to year of 2014, so I started Jiu-Jitsu 98 or 99, 98. And up to 2014, I would compete against black belts, roll with them, and be fairly on the same level after a few years, but never ranked. It was kind of weird. But and I always try to gravitate, unite two arts, and I always lacked that formality until I met my current professor, who belted me as a black belt. So I represent his part of Jiu-Jitsu, and yet I still go on with my thing. So after Gino guy, I realized I can open my own gym, which I did too in my house back then, right? I was married. I'm still married, but with a different woman. We had a nice home with a giant basement. It was fully facilitated and made as a nice gym. And in that gym that we ran in the basement from 99 till 2005, we had some national champions in Sambo, some good competition. Then the same gym, same name, same corporation called Ultimate Sambo. We moved into a bigger commercial location and ran for another 6 years till 2011. So my gym, Ultimate Sambo, ran for 12 years, raised a bunch of good champions, great memories. Unfortunately, went defunct and belly up after I got divorced. Then I taught for a bunch of people as a hired gun, Was very enjoyable with most of them. And one day I'm like, you know what, man? I'm driving 3 hours at the place I taught, Brewster, New York. A great place. There's absolutely nothing more. It was fantastic. But I will drive there like almost 3 hours for 1 hour class. It became financial, like burdensome, And I woke up one day after winning a world championship, figuring out, you know what? It's time to start my own endeavor again. And when I restarted my own endeavor, I figured, you know what? Let's not call it Ultimate Sambo, but let's call it Fusion, because I fuse things, unity. In the beginning, my work on Fusion was subconscious. I would do it just by definition, by default. But lately, after I established my brand, like I branded it in 2015, I started to do it deliberately. I'm like, guys, watch. Like this kind of stuff in Sambo could be translated directly into Jiu-Jitsu's rule set. And it's funky and weird and unusual, but it's still legal and it still works. Or vice versa. Hey, Sambo guys, like we can implement this kind of thing from Jiu-Jitsu. So ideally, my guys should be able to compete in both rule sets or some kind of new rule set that combines both of them. You know what I'm saying? Like given fundamentals and understanding of finer points of throwing and the finer points of groundwork also.
After that, you started the gym that I met you, where I became your student.
Yes. In 2017, end of 2017, November 15th, actually, I got my black belt from Formiga, my professor. I won world championship in Cup and wrestling. It was a very good year for me. And in November, all that happened. And I'm like, you know what, Vlad, man, I think it's time to start your own new gym. It was kind of hard decisions, man, because I love where I taught. And one day, my colleague, Philippe, is like, hey, Vlad, you look kind of like weird. Like, what's going on? I think I want to open up my own gym. And he was so supportive. Everybody was very supportive. And I felt so happy. And yes, that's when I opened Koulikov Grappling Academy. Maybe in retrospect, I should have called it Yushin Grappling Academy. Maybe it's not very modest or humble to name gym after you, but you know what? It's my gym.
I mean, yeah, you're taught to be humble, and that's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes that humility can also hold us back, From the time we're kids, it's like be quiet, be well-behaved, be this, be that. Expressing yourself fully is often seen as being full of yourself or something like that. It's seen as contrary to being modest.
Yes.
A few years ago, something amazing happened during a psychedelic journey. I met my soul animal, which is a tiger. And it wasn't just a mental thing. I felt it deep in my bones. I realized that if roaring is in my nature, it's okay to roar. It doesn't make me a bad person. It's just me being true to myself. So in your case, after years of hard work and practice, why not proudly name a gym after yourself? No, Sensei?
Yeah, well, yes and no. Like the martial arts is a giant filter of douchebaggery, but there's always somebody who's better than me, But yet, it is my style. I literally and figuratively bled, sweated, and cried about that business, So yeah, it's okay, I guess. It's okay to roar once in a while. Be a tiger.
When I was a part of your gym for that short period, I had no previous martial arts training, but I did come from a lifelong training of a musical instrument since childhood, and I know how much dedication, time, and effort goes into mastery, and it's a never-ending process.
It's very similar. It's so connected and so similar, man. If you do both jiu-jitsu or any martial art and music, one will enhance the other. Yes, there's like crazy synergy, and expanding neural pathways on one instrument or one skill will regenerate the same ones for the other one. It's such a huge synergy. Yes, I'm a huge believer in that. For the short time I was taught to play guitar, I totally saw the merit and the value in what I just said. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. But one thing that blew my mind and I never understood, see, learning an instrument, if you choose a professional path from a young age, you practice 7 hours, 8 hours a day at times due to its hard nature on the body. The practice that you were teaching could only be practiced 3-4 times a week, couple hours at a time. So after each day's practice, first weeks, I would be like, how the fuck am I supposed to not only learn it, internalize it, and gain the wisdom to use it at the appropriate time? I'm sure it's possible, but how can I do this? And our mutual friend, your student, Eric Stewart, he became a friend of mine after your dojo. Eric told me, just try to take one little thing a day home. So what are your thoughts on that? How is that?
No. There is no answer, by the way, but I'll give you one. There is no definitive answer per hours or whatever. It's a holistic approach. So you see, yes, you said that music is not hard on your body. Right? That's perfect. And you can train 7 hours. But what people fail to realize or forget, because everybody knows fighting is mental as well. Okay. When you don't train in a dojo on technique or physicality, you can still train your mind. You can make yourself tougher, stronger, and all that stuff. Whenever people go to compete, they work on the cardio, work on technique, on strength, but work on your head, because that's the biggest opponent you got to beat. There is like a bunch of meditation techniques, a mental trickery I can share that you can do to make your mind stronger. And whenever people forget that, that's when adrenaline kicks in, dumps, and you become like an easy target. So train your mind. And mind training could go on all day long. That's number one. Number two, as far as holistic and wholesome approach to training that will make you training 7 hours a day. I study film. Sometimes topic chooses me, so to speak. Like intuitively, I'm drawn to some topic in martial arts, like passing guard or leg locks or whatever. And other times, I roll, and then I analyze my roll because I videotape everything. I'm like, you know what? I've been consistently stuck in defending my guard pass or whatever the heck, right? And then I look at the best guard pathers and the best defenders in the business because I follow the sport, which is another, addition. And then I study it, and then I implement it by drilling. So all that is a wholesome approach. Maybe I do put 2 hard hours a day, 3 times a week, but between training my mind to be a champion and a winner in life, and between studying the film, it's more than 3 hours. And me being A, obsessive persona, and B, now not having anything in my life other than training. I'm training, I would say 24/7, but it's not actual sleep. So even when I'm not in the gym, I'm running my head through something, and I do enjoy some psychedelics. And sometimes I get on a topic or whatever, and I have certain understanding of it. And then I go on a deep dive, mental dive. I don't even train. And in my mind's eye, I see all these new techniques or new pathways to this technique, tying it to other techniques or some kind of new way of obtaining it, something that's relevant to training. And I'm like, let me try it. And I usually run to my phone and I voice record shit, or I type something in. And then I call my guys. I always have my right-hand guys. And we go to the gym and I recreate what I saw in my mind's eye or in my phone notes or whatever. And sometimes out of 10 notes, 7 would be something awesome that I will implement and teach. And 3 was like, good try, but we'll discard it. And that's my training, way more than 2 hours a day. And also the intensity, like normally in jiu-jitsu, it's expected 10 years roughly to get your doctorate, to become a professor. I think nowadays, because of abundance of great technique and great professors, black belts and methodology and access to techniques, everything is easy. So nowadays, you can do it 5-7 years, especially with a predetermined talent a little bit. Like BJ Penn did it 3 years, 2 decades ago. So you can do it a little bit faster, But to put like some kind of like expiration date or like achievement date, I would say with a good professor, 5-7 years, something like that.
I see. Well, I hope I can get back to it one day. After you left, I had to abandon that project of mine because I did not have the resources and time to travel to somewhere farther. And I already have my daily movement practice that's based in yoga, calisthenics, and some high intensity stuff for cardio. So jiu-jitsu was an extracurricular activity for me that I was intrigued. But unfortunately, I had to let that go.
It's okay. Emre, you said that the key word is movement, to move, right? By intuition, all people, we gravitate to be full-bellied, to be in warm, and to be immobile, move and chill. Where 3 healing components for the human body are the opposite. It's to be hungry and fast. It's to be in a cold or super hot, and to be moving, not immobile, right? So movement is one of those 3 keys, right? So if you fucking dance, if you do Turkish dancing, Russian dancing, Bulgarian dancing or whatever, right? If you play tennis, if you fucking do anything other than sitting on your ass, it's always good, And to me, my choice of movement is not dance, it's not tennis, it's martial arts. But it's movement, what I'm saying? Dancing and karate match or jiu-jitsu match is the same fucking thing. You express yourself. You express yourself like an artist through movements, right? And we as an artist, as martial artists or musical artists, we learn the same. We learn the course. Like everybody else learns the same fucking course. You did not learn any specific different course. Everybody else learns the same draw of the brush. Everybody learns the same hip toss and omoplata. But when it comes time to perform, you do all those things, but with your own flair and your signature. So that's the art part,
Mm-hmm. Beautifully said. Well, let's talk about motivation. Some people have a hard time finding the motivation to just even move daily. Any recommendations?
Whenever people come and are like not in shape and like cannot move or whatever, I gotta understand they are in the stage of rescue, right? So after rescue happens, okay, it becomes maintenance, and maintenance always easy. So that's what it is. So once you create a habitual mover, something you do habitually, even if it's like unpleasant or sometimes like you need motivation, it becomes habit. So way easier to go there. So generally, Imre, and I'm sorry if it's not the answer I want to hear, I don't have motivational difficulties, motivation. And sometimes when I feel a bit lazy, I easily overcome it because I move every day. I do the shit I do every day, and it becomes maintenance. It becomes somewhat easier, you know?
Mhm.
It's easier to push something that moves as opposed to push something that's like stands solid. So for beginners or for people that kind of like let themselves go, the hardest thing is to get started. And I don't know how to help them with motivation. So sometimes hitting rock bottom is so disgusting, and it just transforms you in a different person and motivates you. So you just have to find it, man. I don't have magic answers. But my magic answer is discipline that you create over years of habitually doing your things, and it becomes by default way easier. So that's my answer.
And what is Vlad's daily routine of movement?
Got you. Beautiful. It's like it's somewhat changed. My goals, my priorities, and my movement routine somewhat changed, and I will gladly share with you. So I wake up. I teach morning class every morning, every day at 9 a.m. except for weekends. On weekends it's 10. And I move then. Sometimes I roll, sometimes I just drill. And I used to go to this modality, like as far as working out, like until I can no longer freaking move and breathe, you know? And I went away. Like I don't need to set records anymore. Like I don't, right? Like whenever I would squat, I would have to squat an elephant. I don't need to squat elephants. My body weight is fine. You know what I'm saying? And I don't need to go into like seventh sweat exhaustion. Like I can move on and move on because I do it every day now. So mat time. Morning, I get some mat time. I teach class, I warm up, sometimes I drill, sometimes I roll. Then I come home and I chill, man. Sometimes I even nap. For the most time, I do nap. And then I do another workout. I do challenges. You can join my challenge, by the way. So this month challenge is 100 squats, 75 push-ups, 50 pull-ups every day, except for cheat days. Not cheat days, rest days. So I wake up after my nap and I do the thing. I step out. Like I have a gym to work out, right? But I'd rather be home. I step out, enjoy my vitamin G. I have like a nice patio. I can work out. So if I want, I can step in the shade. If I want to get some more sun, I will step out. And that's what I do within half hour. It takes me roughly half hour. So it's a huge myth. Lack of time is a giant myth. That challenge, it's not super challenging to me or whatever, but you understand, right? It's somewhat challenging. And I get it complete within half hour. Okay. And then I shower, have my snack or whatever. And then I go to night practice. And sometimes I'll roll and drill, and sometimes I would not do it. So I kind of go with my body and feel what I do. So usually twice on the mat, except for weekend, only once, plus something physical for myself. I also changed the way I eat. I used to be a ketogenic guy, and I still preach that diet to some people, right? But I did it for about a decade, man. And the results were there, like the clearness of the mind, was there, and the body looks were good, all the stuff. But I could never roll for a long time because no carbs. I know your fat is transferred into energy. That's why you become literal fat burning machine on keto. But I needed to reintroduce carbs, man. So I reintroduced carbs again once I moved to Texas a couple of years ago. And I also switched to two products. Raw milk, it has to be raw. Raw milk, farm fresh eggs, and unfiltered raw honey. Okay. So I eat other stuff, but those three things I consume like daily in huge quantities, and I feel fantastic. My skin tone, I still am completely clean as far as performance drugs. I went to a doctor, and I think I will get on testosterone at age of 48 because I want to heal, I had that bunch of injuries. But other than that, I'm completely natural. I'm fucking jacked as fuck, Imre. False modesty aside, skin tone is good. I get my sun, man. I feel fucking great. My food grew a size. In construction, you wear boots or sneakers every day. Once I moved to Texas, I'm on a mat twice a day and bare feet. So my toes spread out like a duck foot, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. My toes no longer binded, so that they spread out into natural position, and my foot got thicker altogether. So my boot size is one more. So the only time I wear boots is if I do laundry or run or whatever, or have a wrestling practice out like wrestling. Otherwise, always bare feet, and it feels so fucking good. You come out, man, with your underpants, with your dick out in the Texas sun, and you drink your raw milk, and you do your pull-ups, and you get jacked. Life is good, man. That's my daily routine.
So, the raw milk,
Yeah.
it's non-pasteurized. Is that what it is?
Yes, correct. Listen, people argue. I don't give a fuck, man. You can argue all you want. Do not do. Tell me I'm an asshole and I will get diarrhea. But the thing is, people that are lactose intolerant can drink raw milk and eat dairy made from raw milk. Dude, it's mind blowing. So what happens? Yes, you kill tons of bacteria when you boil the milk. You do. It's safer for consumption generally. But you kill the enzyme that are responsible to digest lactose. But in raw milk, before you boil it, that enzyme is present, so you can drink it and it will get digested. And there's so much goodness in raw milk. It's like fucking crazy. It's one of superfoods. It's not kale and it's not broccoli, son, right? It's milk. There is inherent danger if there's some kind of uncleanliness in the pastures or where the cow is held or whatever. You can get sick. But dude, pasteurization is fairly recent process, couple hundred years. We grew up on goat and cow's milk as humans, and we did not die out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, once in a blue moon, you might get diarrhea or some shit like that. But the benefits over the years of drinking raw milk succeed and overpass possible food accidental poisoning. And same thing with raw eggs. And it kills me to waste whites, you know what I'm saying? As a Russian, I hate wasting shit. We used to be so frugal. But now I make my milkshake. I get my raw milk with 3 yolks. I mix it up, maybe put some creatine. It's delicious. And I do it like daily, plus honey. So theoretically, dude, I saw a challenge. The guy, self-imposed challenge. Guy survived for 30 years on only raw milk and eggs. And he said like all his numbers were fine. Blood pressure, cholesterol, everything was fucking fantastic. Sex drive. He was missing crunch and food. So theoretically, man, you can live your life and be an athlete because he's a bodybuilder on milk, eggs, and honey. And Texas is one of the biggest beef suppliers in the country. So I always eat good beef and good chicken. I don't eat like frozen shit or pizzas. Every food, every meal is either raw eggs and milk or something my wife cooks. And that's and you know what, Emre, that's another thing I'd like to impart to people. Only in my late 30s, I started to pay attention to restoration, body care, all that stuff, right? So guys, start early. Take care of your boo-boos, man. Do whole cut exposure. Do acupuncture. Do massage. Do chiropractic adjustment. Do good food, man. Do not skip on food, man, right? Sleep well. So start on recovery habits as early as possible because now I'm slightly more effed up than I should be. I'm behind the 8 ball, but I'm still doing good. So my advice to younger athletes, take care of your bodies as soon as possible.
That's a great advice. Well, you mentioned vitamin D. Unless it's freezing outside, rain or shine, I make an effort to do my movement practice outdoors in the mornings. Something about that morning sun exposure, man, besides the necessary vitamin D intake for the immune system, I see the positive effects, the feelable effects within the day. It elevates my mood and energy levels tremendously.
100%. Something to be said for like your clean psyche and just generally good mood because it's always sunny here, man. It's always hot and sunny. I wake up happy, look at palm trees, drink my coffee, go train twice a day. Life is good.
You also mentioned the raw honey in your daily diet. How do you consume it?
Sometimes by spoon, sometimes I dilute it in my coffee, and sometimes I make my super shake. It's milk, eggs, and a spoon of honey. I whip it with a whisker, and it tastes so good, Emre. It tastes delicious. You know that actually yolks, they don't alter the taste of milk. It still tastes creamy and milky and nice. And you put some honey, and it becomes like this exotic drink. And if you want, you can put a little bit of turmeric, It becomes like so exotic.
And turmeric is so good for your healing process, right?
Healing and inflammation. Do not overdo it because powder does not get that diluted. You know what I'm saying? You got to put a little bit just to get exotic flavor, so to speak, and it tastes so good. So milk, eggs, honey, and pinch of turmeric. Good stuff.
During our conversations back then, you would mention that you're an avid reader of philosophy. How does that play a role in your martial arts training?
It's a direct correspondence. The philosophy and rationalizing is directly correlated with martial arts. In other words, jiu-jitsu is a metaphor for life, Long story short, You have problems and you have to solve them. So you go on a jiu-jitsu mat, that fucking guy, man, is about to strangle my ass. He's a problem. I have to solve it. And all kinds of ancillary lessons come around. How far you can push yourself, how much bitch you have in you, or how much hero you have, what you have to work on. Do you accept your flaws, or are you blind and you just keep doing the same shit? You learn to set goals. You learn to build up a lesson plan to get to those goals. You learn to focus, problem solve, be indomitable, and persevere. So all the stuff that you need in life, you can replicate on the mat. Long story short.
And vice versa, right?
100%. Yes, it's a flippy floppy.
If a person that doesn't have the years to devote to a martial arts training, but they want to learn a thing or two about self-defense to protect themselves, I keep seeing those Israeli self-defense techniques and short courses online. What do you think about them?
I don't want to insult anybody, but if you're talking about Krav Maga, it always looked and appeared to me for many reasons, not as illegit, that there is a grain of sense, but it never satisfied me. Honestly, like if you dissect, if you make it simplified and vulgarize it to a degree, that's what Krav Maga, be super fucking intense and stab everybody. Where Jiu-Jitsu is way more cerebral, you know? I'm sticking to the same advice. You cannot get good if you don't practice. I don't like seminars. That's why I'm a huge opponent of self-defense seminars. Some girl goes to a seminar. Let's imagine, for magic reason, she learns one wrist lock superbly well. But martial arts excellency or any industry excellency could not be purchased, man. It has to be exercised daily. You cannot go to a seminar and become a martial artist or self-defense expert. If anything, you just gain false self-confidence and you'll get destroyed. I'd rather you be scary and stay away from conflict, which is 50% of self-defense, self-awareness, than thinking you're going to kick somebody in the dick or do a wrist lock and win. It's not going to happen. It has to be daily. So that's why if you train daily, you can defend yourself. That's why whenever you train in jiu-jitsu, by default, you're training in self-defense. We just don't call it self-defense. So what is self-defense? Self-defense is ability to fight back. What do I teach you in jiu-jitsu? I teach you how to fight. So if you choose to fight back, that's a self-defense, huh?
That certainly makes sense. Well, personally, it was a great experience for me. You know, from the first day, immediately started to roll with everybody in the classroom. As a white belt, complete beginner, you're rolling with black belts. It was intense experience. But I have to say, the sportsmanship I witnessed there was quite incredible. No one was there to kick each other's ass. Everyone is supporting each other's growth. It was great.
Emre, you just gave me the compliment. Thank you. I don't know if you meant it or not, but this is the culture I try to promote, man. So I don't believe in gym where like three prodigies hop and beat everybody. You know what I'm saying? Of course, prodigies will rise higher or whatever, you know, but like I want the whole room to grow. It's mutual welfare and benefit. And my toughest guy should be able to roll with a crazy wrestler or a soccer mom. You know, that's the culture I try to cultivate in my gym, no matter which gym I run.
So another takeaway I had from your gym, when I would come back home, it's so funny. It was during COVID, remember? People were still restraining from being around each other. And not only I was in the same room with strangers in close proximity, some other person's sweat was dripping into my eyeball. And I would come home and I would tell my partner, baby, I cannot even explain you that the moves and shapes I was in just 15 minutes ago. I can't even describe it. A lot of hugging and embracing strangers. Which brings me to my point. I guess after we became civilized humans, we lost our ape selves. And since we don't groom each other daily like monkeys, our physical contact is limited to our romantic relationships. After spending 2 hours at the gym, I would leave with a different type of happiness, different from that post-workout high. All that touching with all that camaraderie, all that hugging promoted positive feelings.
Absolutely.
Would you agree with that?
There is a chemistry to human touch. Absolutely. Like, and dude, if you love somebody, again, even if you're straight, you want to tap your body on the shoulder, man. It fucking feels good, you know? Homie hug. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's vibration and intent and healing or hurting ability in a simple touch. I hugely believe in that.
Going back to your past, you have worked as an actor in films like Salt and the John Wick movies. How did that happen? How did you get into acting?
I'm not an actor. It's a complete accident. And whenever I tried to do that on purpose, it never worked out. 2009, I received the email from casting agency. A movie Salt was being filmed in New York, and I sent a blanket email to 12 other recipients asking, would you like to be in a movie or, know someone with Angelina Jolie playing a Russian wrestler? Yes, I would like that very much. And I went to a casting call and I made it. I felt like a total idiot because I'm not an actor. I quickly realized I'm not an actor. Because when I went to audition, they're like, okay, be happy now. Strike a stance. Oh, of course, man. They're pulling about wrestling stance. Then like, oh, be happy. Very easy. Happy, go lucky. Okay, now your daughter died, be sad. And that is when I realized this like weird nature of moving impersonal. It's like, it's weird. It's abstract. There we go. It's very abstract. I cannot be sad because my imaginary daughter died. But I still made it. I still made the cut. They, I guess, really wanted me. What was ironic in that movie, in Salt, the scene that should be my bread and butter, the wrestling scene, took forever to film. Forever. There was like 30 takes or some shit like that. It was like a half a day because there was too many people. It was not because of me. And the scene that gave me fucking nightmares, the scene where my wife is crying because the baby died and I have to console her. I was mortified because I realized I'm not an actor. And that scene took 4 takes. The girl saved it. And the next time, John Wick, same thing. Casting agencies in New York, because movie largely filmed in New York. They go to my friend Sambo Steve, looking for Sambis, and particularly Russian speaking. And he's like, hey, this happened. So my bud Vlad speaks Russian. He's the guy you meet, and he's got movie experience. And that's how I met John Wick. Not movies, just one. And this is it. And then I tried like some stunt work and this and that, and it never really panned out to anything. And I kind of closed that chapter. It was a very fun chapter. I loved it. But like I said, every time I tried to do it on purpose, it never. I went on all sorts of auditions and it never worked out. Ever once after work and I'm done.
Speaking of training your mind, that's another craft that you spend decades and decades of training your mind to a degree where you're actually not acting. Like that moment, you're expected to cry like your daughter is gone and actually feel it and materialize it, not act like one. So to get there, the amount of work that it takes is also insane.
Yeah, Emre, that's the word. I felt very abstract and I could not like fathom crying and being sad. And when I tried to force myself, I did not feel organic. It felt fucking stupid, I'll be honest with you. I felt like a total dick. And I'm just so happy I still made the role. I still made it, man.
Before we move on, you mentioned 3 things that modern human neglects doing. So staying hungry, hot and cold exposure, and move. So do you do intermittent fasting?
Yes, when I was doing ketogenic diet, I would eat once a day. I would consume calories throughout the day, but as far as solid meal, I will have only one at night after class. I will wake up, I will have my bulletproof coffee. That's coffee with a lot of fat, basically butter and coconut oil or whatever.
What is bulletproof again?
It's a coffee that does not have mycotoxins. So usually normal coffee has mycotoxins. Organic coffee does not have. So it does not have to be a bulletproof brand. It could be any organic coffee. The trick is though to be sure it's organic. So organic coffee without mycotoxins, and you put butter in that coffee, not just any butter, grass-fed cow's butter. The brand is called Kerrygold. And there's also a couple other brands you can find in like supermarket, 2 or 3 brands. And then you put either coconut oil or MCT oil. So MCT is a derivation of coconut oil. MCT oil is what espresso to coffee is concentrated, And some people swear by MCT and others say original first press coconut oil. So whatever, you can alternate or do one or the other. And that's what I do. And fat starts to metabolism and you start burning fat opposed to carbohydrates, which I know is a total heresy to most people. So that's what the drink I will have. And then eventually I went away from coconut oil. I only put butter because it was too much fat, too much fat to digest. So I would do my bulletproof, feel great, fantastic. It tastes delicious, gets frothy and creamy because of butter. And then I'll work out. I'll have my protein shake based on water or almond milk. And then I will only eat proper meal after my practice. And I've done it for years. Felt great, mental stability, mental sharpness. I felt great.
And what is that proper meal?
Usually greens and meat. It's going to be ketogenic. Some kind of salad with leafy greens and some kind of meat protein, chicken, fish, beef. Yeah.
And that's around like afternoon, after you do your workout?
No, after second practice. So I will have two liquid meals, right? I will have my fat intake, the bulletproof coffee.
Uh-huh.
I will have my protein after midday workout, right? Sometimes I will not work out and I will have anything, only water and more coffee, regular coffee. And at night, I will, after class, about 8:39, I will have my meal.
Oh, I see. So it's pretty much one solid meal a day. That's your routine right now.
Yeah. Only now, instead of shake based on almond milk, I will have regular milk. And sometimes I do not even use protein powder. I will just have my milk with egg yolks and I feel great. I virtually don't consume additional scoops protein anymore. Like I felt sufficient with my protein and macronutrients from milk and eggs.
Well, change is the only constant that doesn't change, right? So can you also talk about how these routines, these practices also change within one person's lifetime? There's no one fits for all for everybody.
So exactly, even within one person, you can change your modality. Like I train somewhat differently. I do way more play. Whenever I do my rolling, I try to take combative element and turn it into a game, like a little race, like a kid game. And dude, I find so much more merit and validity and effectiveness in this approach versus dogfight. So yeah, 10 years ago, every match was a dogfight or just about, and now it's a game to me. 10 years ago, it was all about ketogenic, and now I changed a little bit. So yeah, guys, do not like fall into fucking cults or some kind of like strict obstructive thinking. Just decide for yourself. It's okay not to be like the others. So long you don't harm people, it's okay. And it's okay people like argue with you and disagree with you. If it has no direct influence on your universe and your life, it's okay. Think for yourself and don't fall into cults. And yeah, change always there. Even within you, you could be doing something completely different and realize workouts, religions, and diet plans never fit all. It only fits you.
We were talking about YouTube earlier, and you mentioned there's so much valuable information there and also misinformation there. What do you think about that phenomena? We live at a time when there's information readily available for everybody, yet we can't even agree on a simple fact.
It's so hard. That's why I don't watch news, man, because I have a curse of recent and sometimes two completely diametrally opposable people on political spectrum will both make sense. It's not that I'm undecided. Like, I don't know, man. Like, what you say makes sense. And I don't know why the fuck you cannot meet in the middle, So just think, guys, do not be governable. Do not be sheep. Think for yourself. Be self-vigilant. Be self-critical. And speaking about other evolutions, I used to train to compete and win and be a fucking badass, which I still enjoy. But now I train to be hard to kill. Doesn't make any sense. I want to be ungovernable. I want to be hard to kill. I want to grow my own vegetables and be my own fucking boss. There we go.
Identity politics. Sometimes people forget about our humanity and they're so connected to I am this or I am that rather than civilly discussing ideas. We are living at interesting times. We cannot discuss certain words. You're immediately labeled as being part of a certain identity.
Yeah.
What if I don't want to be a part of any identity? What if I just want to discuss ideas and understand them and actually grow from it? Just please have the audacity to talk to me about it and maybe you will change my mind.
Emre, I changed my mind, not because I'm stupid, but some things I will never fucking change. But often, more than often, I have the curse of reason. And sometimes you'll say something so fucking profound. I'm like, why did I not think of that? And my mind completely flips. It's like a story of a Zen garden, right? A Zen monk created a garden with 10 rocks, 10 boulders, like there's koi fish and fucking ponds and bonsai trees, and 10 boulders, 10 rocks, right? 10. But whenever you stand in anywhere in a garden, you can only see 9. Only see 9. There is 10, but you can see 9. And it was a reminder for him to understand that sometimes there's always some kind of obstruction and there's always different perspective and something you do not see, right? And sometimes during our conversation or argument, somebody flips something around and I'm like, fuck, like, yeah, you are right. What I was saying is wrong. And what you just said makes so much goddamn sense, man. Like when you put somebody in their shoes, when you truly see something from a different perspective, or at least understand there's a 10th rock, it truly does something, Everybody can use a little bit more patience, a little bit more love and kindness,
Yeah, and to promote that, the ones who get to have any kind of practice, not necessarily just martial arts practice, their own movement practice, their arts practice, or any dedication whatsoever.
Any sanity ritual. Because you see, life is insane. Life is pure chaos. Life will suck you in, spit it out, And that's why I am so organized, because that's how I save myself from chaos through training. Whenever I train, I have to categorize things and I have to be on time. And I have this fucking sanity rituals, and I create artificial bubble of people that I'm okay with, because generally I don't like people. I don't like people. I only like people of like-minded, nature. And that's what I get in my gym. So I'm creator of my own universe, of my own sanity bubble, of my own sanity ritual. And that's how I stay alive and save myself from life's chaos by applying these practices.
Beautiful. Vlad, you are Russian. Also, you're an American citizen.
Yes, I'm legal citizen in America. I'm still not a citizen. After 25 years, I'm still a citizen of Russian Federation. Yes, I consider myself Russian. Ethnically, I'm half Ukrainian, half Russian, right?
So this really qualifies you actually to give our listeners your take on this, because it's hard to understand the reality from the news media. Being half Russian and half Ukrainian, what do you think about this war?
As a normal human being, I despise war. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want my Ukrainian brothers and sisters being bombed and killed. But also, it's not a simple topic. It's far from fucking simple. There's so many underwater rocks. We can only see running water, but that's what under. And there's a lot, which I will not get in. But this war is not clear cut. Yes, I would like the troops out of Ukraine. I would like people to stop dying, but there's a little bit more to that. And as far as being Russian, yes, I'm Russian, but I'm neither particularly proud or ashamed. I did not do anything to fucking deserve this merit of being Russian. I was born into it. I am proud of my muscles. I'm proud of my skill. I'm proud of my home that I built and afforded, right? But why would I be proud to be Russian? I did not do fucking anything. It's an accident of birth. Yes, I am proud of a lot of things my people have done. They've done a lot of good shit, and there's a lot of good in culture. But my people, just like any other fucking people, do a lot of crazy shit. And I'm not going to be ashamed of that either, because it's me. I'm not mad at Mongolian people for Mongolian invasion 700 years ago. I'm not mad at Germans for bombing Russia in World War II. Those are historical circumstances which I can move over. So, neither proud nor ashamed. I'm not, I'm going to fly Russian flag on my rash guard. I'm not supporting war, but I'm not going to be fucking ashamed. You know what I'm saying? I got some slack for wearing rash guards with Russian symbolics. I don't promote war, but I'm not going to be ashamed. That's my fucking... I was born there. I speak that language. That's my mom and my dad. I'm not going to be ashamed. And as far as politics, yes, there's NATO, during the 60s Cuban Missile Crisis, right? When Soviet missiles were in Cuba, way too close for American comfort. They fucking exploded. They did not want that. It was World War III brewing. So why do we, or they, Russians, why do they want nukes or NATO troops on their border? Of course they don't. But it gets way more complex, and all this misinformation and disinformation, and it makes that not so hard to crack. That's why I generally don't even get into that. Funny little fact about that topic. My cousin Vasily, who got me into Sambo, he's Ukrainian, right? He's older. He's 8 years older. And he volunteered to the Ukrainian army to fight Russians. How fucking weird and bizarre and ironic, if you will. That's my fucking homie. In Russia, we call cousins brother. We call him brat. Двоюродный, second degree, secondary. But we still... So my brat, right? He's fighting my homies, man. It's so messed up.
Yeah. Human beings are good in the end, I think. There's more good than bad.
Yeah.
But the world politics is its own monster. I'm not equipped well enough in this topic to make more comments.
Me neither. And I don't want to be equipped, because it will make it never ending. There's always argument, bro, to be said for something against what you're saying. I don't give a fuck, whatever. Think what you want, and I'll think what I want.
Absolutely. I'm just hoping for a world where we are just citizens of the world, all of us. We are all the same humans. No one's blood comes out as Russian or Turkish or American or Ukrainian Mexican. It's the same blood.
Yeah, unity over division with peoples in the end, man. We just speak different languages or whatever about that. Yes, agreed.
So, Vlad, how can people find you?
Thank you. People can find me on few platforms. You can follow me on Instagram, Sambo_Fusion. You can follow me on YouTube, subscribe to me. I post some stuff on Sambo Fusion. You can follow me on TikTok. I think it's my name, Vlad Koulikov. And you can visit my website and you can learn from me, sambofusion.com.
for the people in your area, what city are you in Texas?
I am technically in Edinburgh. Sometimes I say McAllen because McAllen is the like stone throw away with the biggest airport. It's a tri-borough area, Edinburgh, Farm, McAllen. And I live in Edinburgh, Texas, right on Mexican border. Tacos are delicious here. My gym is in Edinburgh, Texas. I have a couple accounts actually on Instagram. One, Sambo Fusion, that's my personal and the gym. And there's actual Koulikov Grappling Academy, just the gym for the news for the members. And you can find me there. I'm most active on those platforms.
Wow, Vlad, I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure. No. I appreciate that you put some faith in my teachings and my methods, and that you want to know what I do for many things, So I appreciate you listening and learning.
Of course, I very much enjoyed being your student for that period, even though it was quite brief, and later becoming your friend. And thank you for this conversation.
Emre, whenever I introduce my students, I teach them, but whenever I introduce it, if you and I somewhere and I introduce it to a third party, I would say, this is my friend Emre. We train together. That's how I feel. So you're invited here perpetually. I just bought a house and I have a guest room. So now I can invite guests. You can come with your lady. You are officially, publicly, perpetually invited.
So would love to take you up on that offer. Vlad, love you, man.
Love you too, bro.
Thank you for your wisdom, sharing your heart.
Thank you, sir.
Until next time.